We interrupt this program to bring you...
Hey! Go out the back!
Thank you. Fuck, it's locked. Keys, we need your keys.
No.
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Wait. No.
All right, everybody. My name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Julie.
And we are the Real Movie Guys. Ladies and gentlemen, it's October. You know what that means. Real Terror Month. Real Terror Month is a special month where we take a look at all your favorite horror movies here on The Real Review. On today's episode, we're looking at the latest installment in the Scream universe, Scream 6. In the next installment, the survivors of the Ghostface killings leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. Oh boy, my favorite, horror movies journeying to New York City. I'm sure that's worked out every single time that's happened. Oh wait, it hasn't. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Friday the 13th, Leprechaun, there's a lot more, I'm not thinking of all of them, but anytime a horror franchise tends to leave its, its little town setting and try to go on a big adventure, we always see kind of a disaster. And while I don't think Scream 6 is a disaster by any means, what I do think is this movie doesn't have much to say, and I kind of questioned its existence a little bit. I don't know if anybody else was kind of getting that vibe. Scream 6 is an adequate horror movie. It does touch on some things about franchises and, just kind of culture in general, but I don't know. I feel like there's just wasn't really much here for me. I do think some of the other things that they do, there were some really neat ideas for this movie, but again, its overall existence, I don't know. I can't wait to talk to you guys about this because I have a lot of mixed emotions. I've kind of been stirring on this one for a while. So, Adam, let's start with you. You've been surprisingly loving the Scream franchise so far. I think you've had a lot more ups than downs, which is surprising. What did you think of this latest installment? Again, this is the most recent one, just came out this year.
Adequate is a very good word for this movie, I think, because it doesn't feel like it fits in with the rest of the Scream movies.
Right.
It feels like it's automatically trying to do something completely different than all the other ones were trying to do. This one felt more over the top, I think.
Yeah.
Like a little bit too much. Like we started losing grip on what the Scream movies were.
Right. And I wonder if that's a reaction kind of to what's been happening within the Scream universe. We saw a lot of the commentary that people were saying and the fans and detractors of the last movie. There wasn't enough action in the Scream universe. The last movie didn't have as many kills and didn't have like the final death runs and stuff like that we've come to expect from the Scream movies. But this time I feel like they kind of took their advice and said, hey, let's go ham. And they kind of put a little too much action. Would you say that was to be said here? This was more style over substance in this movie?
Yes, I totally agree. It's it's a horror film still. I don't know if it fits in with the rest of the Scream movies though.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely see that argument. John, how about you, man? What'd you think of this one?
I agree with you, 100% adequate. I feel like, but like you said in the beginning, anytime one of these franchises decide to go take on New York, only Pee-wee can go on big adventures. These movies need to stay in their place, all right?
That was an amazing reference. I could have done that better myself. Congratulations.
That's an iconic line. That needs to go on a t-shirt.
I know. That might be the next Real Movie Guys t-shirt right there. I like that. All right. I agree, man. I think there's a lot to be said here. There's some stuff I like, and we will talk about that. But overall, it just kind of happened and kind of forgotten about it. And I waited a while to watch this one actually until this review is my first viewing ever of it. And now I kind of know why. There's definitely a reason deep in my mind why. And yeah, it's kind of adequate. Julie, how about you? What'd you think of this one?
I guess I'll agree with the general consensus of, just total adequacy.
Why, are you feeling less about it?
Yeah, gosh, I don't know. The more I sit and stew and think about this movie,
yeah,
the less I like it. And kind of like what Adam was saying, they were doing bigger like this. There was several moments in this movie that completely jumped the shark for me.
Yeah.
Just too out of control and too like how you're explaining to me in your movie logic how you made it happen, but I still don't buy it.
Right. And again, I think a lot of the issue just is the sheer existence of this movie as a sequel. So this movie's in a weird spot, right? It came out after the requel, which was the last Scream movie, kind of rebooting the universe, kind of introducing new players into the field and, you know, moving legacy characters around, losing some, getting some new ones to come back for this movie. This movie kind of doesn't have an identity. Did anybody else kind of feel like that? Because even when they're explaining, they have the whole scene, where they talk about, you know, what this movie's supposed to be. Mindy Meeks, who goes out and she kind of gives her spiel, which is a really great scene. Again, she does a fantastic job stating the rules of horror. The problem is, it's a sequel, but it's kind of just a sequel. I don't really know what the commentary is. Anybody else kind of feel like a little lost on that? Because I feel like the same rules just kind of applied as the last movie, and there wasn't much new other than it just had to be bigger and better, right? That was kind of the mission statement. It had to be a bigger and better version of the second one. Do you think there was some stuff lost on that, Adam, with this movie just having to be a bigger, better film?
I do, because I think they set the expectations way too high and they just lost touch on what the Scream movies were. Like I said, it doesn't feel like a Scream movie to me anymore.
Right.
It felt like you said, like it didn't have an identity.
Yeah, there's no message. They're not trying to say or comment on anything. I just feel like it's just trying to be, we're doing a bigger, better sequel. Yeah. That's what they're trying to do. And bigger isn't always necessarily better in this case. But there are some things that do work. So what I want to compliment the movie on right away is I do like the action, to be honest. I do like a lot of the grittier action scenes. I wish these were in a better, tightly written movie. I think they could have definitely enhanced it because they are kind of terrifying. I'm not going to lie to you. There were definitely some scenes where I was kind of more on the edge of my seat than I normally have been, I think, in some of these Scream movies. The first one that really comes to mind, there's three in general that I really think of. There's like three really big scenes. The first one is a convenience store scene, which it's a little silly. I mean, Ghostface goes in there and starts just killing people out of nowhere, which again, kind of silly, but then he picks up a shotgun and starts shooting at them. And the way they filmed the scene, I think is absolutely beautiful. It's intense. It's something we haven't seen from Ghostface before. We've always seen him, wielding the knife and going after people and usually getting his ass kicked half the time. So it was different to see like a imposing Ghostface in this movie, I would say, where he's ready to kind of kill you, whatever it takes. And I really do appreciate that. And again, also the cinematography, once again, coming back and complimenting the action here. They did a fantastic job with like Sam and her sister kind of like lurking around the corner, crawling on the glass. And you see Ghostface just kind of walking with the shotgun, like looking for them. Some intense stuff right there. I think they did a good job. And they also do that later on with the home invasion scene, which we will talk a little bit later, so I don't want to go too deep into that one. So we'll save that one for later. But the final one also was the subway scene. I thought was very well done. Again, going to New York is questionable, I think, for a lot of horror movies. But they had an idea, for that subway scene. And I think that was a really fantastic job, too. You have all the different people. It's Halloween. They're all dressed up in costumes. And where's the killer? Where's he hiding? Is he going to pop out? What's going to happen? They took their time with the scene. They filmed it extremely well. I think they did a really good job with that. What did you think about that, Julie? Do you think that they did utilize like some of their ideas extremely well in this movie as far as like what they were doing, besides obviously the plot being the weakest point? But I think those core scenes really do stand out in this movie.
Yeah, they're definitely like, these major, sequences that really kind of pay tribute to, the core heart of Scream, but also making it something, as they say in a requel sequel, bigger and better.
Right.
The subway scene was really tense because you're cutting between. So that and that was again another great example of them using the new setting of New York City to their benefit. Same thing with the convenience store scene. You wouldn't get those kind of sequences if they were in Woodsboro. So I thought they were really well done. But does it save the movie itself? It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think that's the question there, and I feel like it doesn't, in my opinion. I think there's too much weak sauce in between to kind of like sour my meal a little bit here with the rest of the movie. What did you think of John? Did you like the action in this movie? Again, comparatively to some of the other stuff we've seen so far.
I enjoyed the action in this movie. It was the characters in this movie. Almost like every other horror movie, they're all terrible. Terrible character. Especially, the one character that really bothered me, probably soured this movie for me.
Yeah.
There's that one guy cop who almost sounds like he's Batman in a couple of scenes where he's like, "I'm gonna come get you," or something to that effect. It was almost like, come on, bro. Just
I think he's
you're
like,
in
if
New
you
York.
kill my family, you die. Or you mess with my family, you're dead.
Something dumb. I was like, oh my god, get over yourself, bro.
Yeah, and that kind of leads to some other issues I have with this movie, which we'll talk about in due time, my friend. In due time, we'll definitely talk about that. But it's tough because I think in some ways I think the cast is definitely a little bit better in this movie overall. Adam, I know you liked this cast, from previously, and we all agreed actually we were kind of a fan of this new cast. Do you think a lot of their what the stuff that they had in the last movie, like the charisma, kind of like their bond, do you think it carried over well into this movie? Do you think the characters are good and they were poorly utilized, or what do you think's at fault in this movie?
I think the characters are good, but I think they're poorly utilized. I think some of the dialogue just falls flat in this film, and it's just, I don't know, maybe that's just poor directing.
Yeah.
Maybe it is just the actors at that point, but I think that the characters, like, they're there, like it's a solid group, but it's just underutilization.
Right, and I think also it's just it's tough, right? I think that they gave decent performances, but the dialogue just kind of falls flat, kind of like you said. I don't really feel like the urgency of the situation. I do when they have those scenes, right? Those action scenes. Otherwise, I just kind of feel like they're here. And, even towards the end of this movie, and I know we're jumping ahead, but by the end of this movie, no one dies in the core group. And I thought that was kind of an interesting choice where I probably would have killed one of them. Yeah, the core four survived this movie, and I don't know if that was necessarily a good choice. What did you think of that, Adam? Do you think they could have lent themselves a little more to killing off one of these characters? Because at this point, I feel like that they could have done something a little more dramatic.
Okay, so I got a question for you.
Okay, I'm ready. I got
a question for you. Do you think these characters are going to be the new legacy characters 20 years from now?
I would say no, absolutely not.
I don't think they resonate as much as, Dewey or Gale do.
No.
Like, they just felt like, I don't know, they just feel, well, this is going to sound mean, but disposable.
Yeah, they do. They feel like side characters in their own movie.
Yeah, that's the vibe that I was getting from them, and it's just, I feel like they should have taken more chances with these characters,
right.
Kill some of them off,
right?
Or at least give them some sort of a little bit more, I don't know, sequences to do more prolific things.
Which is
kind of make
interesting,
them stand out more.
Because they do give them time to bond in this movie. There actually are a few scenes where they do give them kind of time to play catch up. But I feel like it all, like you said, they still feel disposable even after I get to know these characters a little bit more. Because it's just like, I'm just waiting for Ghostface to show up. And I feel like in the Scream series, I never felt that way about the core. Well, we'll say they're the core four, the core three characters. I never felt that way about those characters. I was like, how are they going to get out of this situation? Like, yeah, I kind of know they're going to be okay, but I can't wait to see how they get out of it. And this one, I felt like you guys are all expendable. I really don't care about you.
Like they're just fodder at that point.
Right. And how did that feel to you, Julie? Did you feel the same way with that?
Yeah, and we didn't talk about it in the last review either, where, I feel like even then, one of them should have not, well, I guess one member of the friend group didn't make it, but that shouldn't really matter.
Ouch.
But, yeah, sorry. But in this movie, and especially because, again, they're my favorites, the twins both get brutally attacked.
Again, in like the same way, practically.
Again, and the same way. Chad even more so, where I'm watching them like, all right, well, he's dead. We had to lose one of them. I'm like, I'm accepting it. Yes, I'm sad, but we had to lose somebody. And then sure enough, you see him on the stretcher in his little, trauma blanket. And I'm like, what the fuck? Even Gail, like I wasn't ready to lose her, But I'm like, all right, we got to lose another legacy, I guess. And
Yeah.
then she's okay too. So I'm like, what the heck is happening? So
Right.
it takes a lot of the stakes out. It takes a lot of really even just the meaning of this movie. Like, we lost no one of significance in this movie. So they're just indestructible.
Right.
And like Adam's question, which is a great question, they're not legacy characters to me. They really aren't.
No.
So at this point now, I'm like, okay, so they're already saying that these characters, we're not doing anything to them. We're not losing them.
Yeah. So I'm less interested already.
I'm less interested. I was even waiting for Jenna Ortega to get killed because I'm like, she's got a lot of stuff down the pipipeline. She's probably going to get killed off.
Yeah, she got no time for this, right?
She got no time for this. No, she made it through. So I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I don't know. We didn't have as much death.
I agree. What about you, John? What do you think of these characters? I know you were never even a fan from the last one. You actually were probably the biggest proponent of all the characters. I guess you were right.
As per usual, I am right on this. The core four should be no more of this shit. I mean, how could you have a horror movie and nobody's dying, they're all living?
Yeah.
Oh,
It is a little bit, it's
What
unnatural.
is this, a Disney movie? Get this shit over.
Cancel. Yeah, John's canceling Scream 6.
I canceled Scream 7 too, just like Stab 8.
I can't. That's funny. It's funny. And when they mentioned Stab 8, we didn't talk about this in the last review, but it was directed in universe. That movie's directed by Rian Johnson, which is supposed to be like the fans. There's a quote in there like, oh, the fans were like freaking out about him changing the legacy of characters and doing what he wanted. It was supposed to be like a commentary on the Force Awakens, or not the Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, with all the controversy he had with that. Funny in-universe thing, just thought I'd throw that out there. But I want to say this, and I think this is probably the biggest issue with this movie, and I don't think any of the other ones, even 3, manages to subvert this, I think, to some extent. And this is the first time I've ever been able to feel this. I've seen this movie before. I've seen everything in this movie, except for maybe some of the sequences, the storyline. I've seen it in its own series. We've already dealt with this with other characters. Sydney went through almost the same exact storyline. If you remember, Scream 2 was practically the same. And I know they may mention it in the movie, and maybe there is some kind of point to it being this way. I feel like I've seen this, Adam. Wouldn't you say the same thing? It's the same story practically of dealing with PTSD and worried about Ghostface coming back. And then Ghostface does come back, and she's on the run again. It felt exactly the same.
Do you think that they did that because this is supposed to be the second?
That's what I'm curious. I think, I do think it's intentional, but I think it's a detriment to this movie.
I agree. It definitely suffers from it, and it's trying to be something that it shouldn't.
Well, it's trying to be a franchise.
I know what it's trying to do, but it's not succeeding at it.
No, in this franchise, I don't think that there's enough commentary to be really made in this movie. I really just don't think they had enough material where, we're talking about franchises now. Isn't Scream already a franchise? Even Stab's already a franchise within their own universe. Like there isn't much to say on that point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, in the other movies, and all the movies, even 3 had some commentary on trilogies and stuff like that. And I thought that was weak. This is even weaker than that. I think it's just like, we're making a franchise. Okay, great. You know, we got to have characters that live on and continue on and carry the legacy. It's just really weak overall. And it's a shame because I think there are some really cool ideas. It just fails to execute them because of the plot.
And the worst part is when Mindy's doing her speech about franchises, one of the rules is like anybody can go. Legacy characters can go. New characters can go. And nobody goes.
And that was the same thing she said in the last movie. And it's like it's a repeat of the same exact rule. Okay, great, good job, guys. You know, I don't agree. I don't agree, unfortunately, with this.
And now for Scream 6, nobody will go to the theaters.
Yeah, right. Unfortunately, they do some other cool things though, and this movie again starts off really interesting. What did you guys think of the cold open? Adam, did you actually like the opening of this movie? I thought that was kind of clever, especially when Ghostface took his mask off and they revealed who it was. I'm like, what? We're doing that? What's going on? I feel like it had something there a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think that it was I enjoyed the opening. It was different.
Right.
I liked all the blood, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I was intrigued because I thought this might be a different kind of movie, because we've seen the same mystery, and I'm like, oh, well, what if we know who the killer is and we know throughout the whole movie, but the rest of the cast doesn't? That could be really cool. I thought we were going to get something like that, but it never really quite delivers on that at all.
If that was the case, that would have been a great direction for this movie, I think.
It would have been brave and bold. It would have been new.
Absolutely.
And I would have rather would have seen that and that have been bad than actually have seen this and it been bad.
I think I agree with you, yeah.
Yeah, and then let's just talk about it. I think the mystery in this movie is absolutely, I think it's dog shit. I'm going to say it right there. I really was not impressed by anything I saw in this movie. Again, I'm going to pick on you again, Adam. What did you think? I saw it coming a mile away. As soon as the detective said, my family, what is he? He says something like, I'll get only way to get revenge is to kill them. I'll kill whoever stands between me and my family. I'm like, oh, he's related to something that happened. Oh, he's definitely the killer. Where do we go from here?
It's because we've been down this road already, 5 other times. Somehow somebody is related to one of those legacy characters from forever ago.
But I don't think anyone's ever said it quite as loud as he did, especially in that one scene where he's literally just like, I'm going to kill whoever gets away between me and my family, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the predictability, it kind of ruined it. I mean, there were so many immersion breaking sequences in this film.
Yeah.
And that obviously did not help very much, though.
No. And then the reveal of who the other ghost. So there's 3 ghost faces in this movie. So that was a little bit of a change. I was even less impressed, I think, with the other 2 ghost faces than the first one. The one being the friend in the friend group, which has kind of been like a trope now, I think, for quite a while in Scream, where it's always they usually kind of name who the obvious one is, and it's that person. And then I think the most offensive one out of all of them was the daughter, who's also in the friend group, who got murdered early on in the movie. I'm sorry, logic was thrown out the window for me. How did a cop cover up the murder of his own daughter and make her a ghost face? And how are they going to get out of that after this is all said and done? I don't know. Again, it's a movie. I get it. And that's what a lot of people in the comments are probably going to say, oh, it's just a movie. You're taking it too seriously. I'm sorry, but Scream kind of cements itself into reality when it tells its stories, at least to some extent. And to me, that was just like off the wall nonsense. I'm sorry. It was almost as bad as Sydney's illegitimate brother popping up and being the ghost face. It felt so out of left field, and I didn't appreciate it. Adam, I'll start with John, actually. What did you think of the reveal? Did you see it coming a mile away, or were you...
I saw it coming 2 miles away. Utter bull crap. And then you couldn't have picked worse characters to have been Ghostface. I mean, the generic guy character.
They were very generic. Even their performances,
His daughter who got killed but didn't get killed. And, I was the first one there.
So you killed their brother and they all became psychopaths?
Right.
Oh.
Seems like logic problems here.
Yeah, you think one of them might not have been okay with that plan. They're like, oh, you killed our scary brother who has which is also another crazy thing. Again, Adam kind of talked about this a little earlier. There's a lot of logic breaking stuff in this movie. Most importantly, what do we think of the homage to Ghostface auditorium room, where they have every single piece of evidence ever conceived in a Ghostface killing from every single movie up until this point? No. I mean, it's cool. It's kind of interesting, and it'd be cool if I were a fan and I was touring that, and maybe that's the idea that they were trying to go for.
That's what I was going to say. Like, it would be cool to, like, me go visit
Right,
that.
we're all going there. We're hanging out going, hey, let's go take some pictures. Oh, that's cool. Not in the movie. I don't want to see that. The Hall of Armors, like from Iron Man, we have the Hall of Ghostface sitting up there. I'm sorry. It was really stupid and corny, and I didn't appreciate it. I really didn't. I think it just kind of, it took too much out of the movie for me. What did you think, Julie? Is that what we call bad fan service in a movie?
Yes. But as he stated, he's a New York City cop, and if he can fake his daughter's death, he can sure as hell get any evidence from any Ghostface crime that's ever been committed and put it on display for his son. And that's the other thing too. So they all go psycho after he's killed. But he even admitted, he goes, yeah, my son had an unhealthy thing, but a father and his firstborn, you kind of indulge him a little bit, so I helped his habit. And
which is funny because they zoom in on the other son when he says that, and I was expecting like a reaction, like a noise. He was like, "Yeah, Dad, you go." Like, what the? Right? You should be chanting that. Like, what the hell?
And they were
so stupid.
They were just the most like.
It's as bad as my camera zooming in over here.
Yeah, they were just like the most zany, cringy Ghostface. Like, it's so different compared to like Billy and Stu, their reveal, and they're hamming it up and doing their thing. And then Mickey even too, any of them really. But these were just like caricatures, like, we're Ghostface and we're going to kill you. Like, because you killed our brother. It was just.
Because
awful.
What was the commentary in their reveal? There was no commentary. It was just straight up. It was just straight up revenge.
It's revenge, and it's trying to go back to, and again, they were planting breadcrumbs. It's trying to go back to the lineage connection between Sam and Billy.
Yeah, well,
so they're trying to say, because you're related to Billy, that's why you killed our son.
Yeah.
So, over the top more than you needed to.
Yeah. Well, that's maybe the biggest thing you just hit the nail on the head with was the lineage to Billy. God, I was fucking wrong. I don't know what else to say. It was not a good idea to have her related to Billy Loomis. I think it's a terrible idea. And by the time we get to the end of the movie, she's literally dressed up as Ghostface, killing the killer as Ghostface. And then everyone just kind of walks away. And she's like, well, I'm not really him, but you kind of just murdered someone as Ghostface. So you kind of are a Ghostface. Like, what are they trying to say here? Adam, mixed messages a little bit, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know who to root for anymore.
Right, I guess Billy's a good guy now. The serial killer that like started this whole thing's a good guy, and he's like ushering in the new Ghostface.
Yeah, he was actually some sort of like vigilante.
Right.
He's just taking out the actual killers and whatnot.
Yeah, the message just became more skewed in this one. It came in again. We kind of said in the last one we felt it was that way, but this one just really took it to another level. And again, the PTSD thing only gets you so far, really, in this movie, and the rest of it, again, we've seen this movie before. It literally is Scream 2, and again, maybe it is the point, but it kind of falls flat. What did you think of that, John? Did you like her taking revenge as Ghostface at the end of the movie, or? I don't know. Would you not have had a problem with it? Maybe if she became Ghostface and kind of like left the movie, do you think that would have been more interesting? Maybe.
I probably would have liked that a little bit better, but this movie was one of those movies that you kind of watch and it's just forgettable. Like we were talking before about like the kills to this movie. None of them were like so memorable that we're like, oh, remember this one, remember that one. And in movies like this, if you're going to throw together a big crappy movie, you want to at least remember some good parts.
Right.
I don't remember these good parts.
No, and maybe there is some cool ideas here. The leaving of the Ghostface masks is kind of fun. I think that was kind of a fun idea. Like they're all like have the DNA of all the old killers, and they have the big board on the wall that shows kind of like what happened to everybody. They make fun of Sydney's brother or whatever. They like, oh, he was the only killer, and I think Kirby's like, oh, well, good for him or whatever. He was the only one or something. She says something like that.
Yeah, good for him.
Good
and
for
side
him.
note, we got Kirby back.
We did. What do we think of that? I actually didn't hate that part of the movie. I thought that was a good use of a legacy character bringing somebody back, to be honest. Do we agree, disagree? What are our thoughts?
She was awesome.
I like that you said that you didn't hate it.
Didn't hate it.
Like you didn't like it, but you're like, I just didn't hate it for this movie.
I'll just say Hayden Panettiere was away from acting for 4 years prior to this movie. It shows a little bit. I think she was just definitely a little bit rusty, and she didn't seem super thrilled at times to be in the movie, but I was happy she was back. She wasn't that super snarky Kirby that I remembered. They tried to recreate a scene with her and Mindy where they're talking about horror movies and they're kind of going back and forth. And it kind of felt flat to me. I felt a little forced. I think I would have wanted her character back sooner. What did you think of that, Adam? Did you like her inclusion in the movie? Because we talked about Kirby and I remember telling you like, oh, just you wait. We'll see her again someday. She didn't actually die. I thought it was kind of fine to have her.
Yeah. No, I liked it too. I think she was definitely one of the more entertaining characters over the films. And I was glad to see her again.
I think, would you have kept her and maybe taken out Courtney Cox's character? Had taken out Gail, maybe just not have bothered having any of the core three and just kind of kept her?
At this time, yeah, I think so. I think it's time to, we passed that torch. Let's just move on.
Yeah, and I felt like, again, we kind of retreaded some ground with Gail, too. She kind of just wrote a book about the character again, and then they tried to punch her in the face again. And I mean, right. I know it's her character arc, and that's kind of what she does. She just constantly disappoints people and does anything for herself, but again, having her inclusion, she's not terrible by any means. It's just because again, she's Courtney Cox. She's one of the queens of horror here. She's definitely someone that we look forward to seeing, but I just felt like it wasn't needed. We didn't need that because we have these new characters kind of taking over the roles. And hers not really adding anything, and she really didn't add anything to the plot. She just kind of showed them the warehouse. That was really all she did in the movie. Other than that, I don't think she had really any other relevance, did she? Anybody else can think of anything? I don't think she... No. Yeah, I don't think so either. Kirby, at least, was kind of integral to the plot. She was the FBI kind of guiding them along. If anything, maybe I would have wanted to see her more included in the movie. And, even maybe her even being Ghostface could have been really interesting. Because, again, that reveal just is a real bummer letdown. And I don't think we're given enough hints at it. I don't know if you guys disagree or not. Besides the obvious one that the father is like the killer, it's not really a mystery unless I'm guessing. I was never second guessing anybody else throughout the movie. Even the relationship to his son being Huey. I always call him Huey. What's his name? Jack Quaid from
Richie.
Richie. His son being Richie. Like as soon as I was calling from Richie's phone, I'm like, oh, that's his daddy. I don't know. It was really disappointing, and it's unfortunate because I think there are some good things, but I think we're at that point. While we are a little bit let down by some of the kills in this movie and some of the violence, we still have to give a Real Terror Award. The Real Terror Award is a special award we grant to our favorite kill of the movie. Julie, it's on you. All honors to you. What are you going to grant the Real Terror Award to for this one?
So the Real Terror Award is going to go to Annika, who dies via, ladder falling into, a New York City alleyway.
Best way to die.
Yeah, the whole sequence itself was really that was the most on edge I think, the entire movie. The core four, gets invaded by Ghostface in their apartment. So, there's this zaniness of, people running in and out of rooms, trying to defend themselves from him.
And it's a cool scene because it even starts with the neighbor, which we didn't even really talk about.
Yes.
Sam has a love interest neighbor who lives across the way, and he actually sees Ghostface in the room. And I thought that was a really cool shot, actually. That was actually very clever.
Yes. Again, another logic issue. Why didn't he just fucking call the cops?
Yeah, he does it at the end of the movie.
On the window. So, in the chaos, Annika and Mindy are attacked, but Annika is pretty much almost like gutted.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome.
She's like trying to hold her insides in. And again, the neighbor is able to, open up his window, and he, stretches out a ladder, and, Sam's crossing over, Mindy then crosses over, and we're trying to get Annika. Annika's the last one to go over again. She's holding herself together and she's scared to even do it. And then sure enough, Ghostface breaks into the room. And it's that whole, you got to go faster, Annika. You can do it. And she's stuck frozen on that ladder. And Ghostface just comes and starts rocking it back and forth, trying to get it to lose its, edge or grip on, on their side of the window. And, sure enough, Ghostface is successful. And you see the ladder come sliding out and Annika along with it. And a horrible impact to that ground. So again, already probably mortally wounded, but then that splat on the pavement just...
Right.
I think she hit the dumpster first, right?
Oh, yeah, she hit the dumpster.
She got a dent on the head, and then it was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, there was no coming back from that. I mean, maybe if she hit the pavement, she could have been okay.
No. He was a goner.
No, they wanted to make sure they threw in the dumpster just to be sure. You gotta knock the brain out a little bit. That scene it's really well done. I gotta say that's, again, I mentioned it earlier. That was like one of my top 3 scenes I think in the movie. That only things I really can remember from this movie. Just the fact you have Ghostface. This is one of the most physical Ghostface we've had in a Scream movie. And again, I wish this was just a better movie because I kind of like that idea of this being a very violent, like visceral Ghostface. Like he's not afraid to like break down doors, and he's like kind of imposing a little bit because Ghostface normally isn't very imposing as a character, but this movie they definitely did a good job at that. And like him just trying to bash the door in, and they got all the furniture pressed up against it, and they're like crying like, come on, you gotta get across. Then when you feel the dread, and they did a good job. I have to tell you, they really did a good job. When he's got that ladder and he's about to shake, you're just like, oh, that sucks.
I love horror sequences when you're like screaming at the TV to the character, like you're trying to will them to do what you want them to do. And that was one of those moments I'm like, go, Annika, you can do this? Come on. And then, even when she meets her fate, because the ladder doesn't completely fall out.
Right.
It's just enough for her to, slide off. And then I'm telling them, pull it back in. He's going to cross over. So it was a really tense scene.
Yeah. And, again, I do like the idea of this Ghostface. And one thing that's always bothered me, and it's probably bothered everybody else throughout the Scream movies, is we always get such different statured Ghostfaces throughout this entire series. They usually have just like one person like in the costume whenever they do it, so you can't tell who the killer is. The last movie, we definitely had a big size difference, I think, with the Ghostface killers, and it was kind of a glaring issue we didn't talk too much about. But this one, it bothered me even more, I think, because there's a large difference in Ghostface. For the majority, the father of the detective, he's definitely the most imposing of the Ghostface, and I think I would have just been fine if it was just him, because if it's the other two doing stuff, I don't see them doing what he was doing, right? I mean, Ghostface was literally punched a hole through a glass door and like stabbed the one professor guy. Again, he's very imposing, but I don't see these other Ghostfaces doing that. What do you think of that logic jump, John? Do you just ignore it and move on, or does it bother you a little bit?
I mean, throughout the whole movie, there's things that bothered me, but
Yeah.
I kind of just put it away. But yeah, it's one of those things that, like, when you sit back and look at it, you're like, okay, why did they do this?
Yeah.
Because some things just really didn't come together in this movie. But, like, it was weird because how much different each Ghostface was, too. Like, usually they'll have, like, a Ghostface, like, they're all, like, almost, like, say that if they're doing two, they're normally, like, about the same size, per se. But this one was kind of like, they're all different. They're different shapes and everything.
Yeah, and different like strength levels. I mean, I understand like the father, again, being a police officer, wielding a shotgun and then shooting people and breaking down the doors and stuff like that. But I don't see the other girl doing that. And I guess she wouldn't be because she was technically dead in that scene. There's just so many logic issues. It's just another thing I think that compiles on this movie for me. But that all being said, we've kind of talked to exhaustion about this movie. Let's put a big score on this one, guys. I'm going to give Scream 6 a 6.5 out of 10.
The worst part is, you teach a class about slashers, and you still walked into a dark alley. Alone.
Peter, that's not funny.
No. It's not.
I don't think it's the worst Scream movie. And I know I've talked pretty harshly about this movie, even more so than I did about 3. I still think 3 is the worst one for me. I think it's the one I probably would least likely go back, whether that's time, whether that's just the plot in general. I don't know. I don't find that one enjoyable, but this one's pretty close to it, honestly. It's just a little bit better because I do think the action's in the right place. They did some really great things with the cinematography and the action. Some of the story beats are fine, and I just feel like this was just an ill-timed sequel. We didn't need this movie. It shouldn't have came out. I fear for Scream 7 because I know that's coming out relatively within the next year or two. We're going to be seeing that movie. We don't need it yet. It's not time. Scream works best when it has something to say. Unfortunately, Scream 6, if it does have something to say, I'm not interested. It didn't do anything really for me besides, again, those couple action scenes I'll remember, and they're cool visuals. They look great in a trailer and on a poster. Other than that, I think it's kind of a kind of a skippable movie, if anything. Adam, how about you? What do you think of this one?
I'm going to give Scream 6 a 6
Ooh.
out of 10.
You're a day early for trick-or-treating,
It warrants the 6 just because of how much of a deviation it is from the actual core series of Scream.
Yeah.
It's just like you said earlier, it struggles to find that identity. And I think those action sequences, they are fun. They are very enjoyable to watch. I think the movie is worth a watch at least once.
Yeah, I'd say.
But beyond that, it's not my Scream movies that I've come to know and love now.
Yeah, Adam's a fan now. Now he's got to become one of them toxic fans from the last movie over here. He's gonna be on the message boards. It's not my Scream. No, I agree with you. I think it does some things it does, again, the action. It answered some of the issues we had with the last one, but created even more issues in this one, I think. And it's not great, unfortunately. It's not a good note to end on. Again, New York City is not a good place for horror movies. We probably should avoid that a little bit. John, how about you? What do you think on this one?
I give Scream 6 a 6 too.
You're the one who's gonna die screaming.
Maybe, but you won't be around to see it. You couldn't stop what happened to Dewey, just like you're not going to be able to stop this.
A sucky 6, because that's what I felt about this movie. I mean, it did some things good, but overall, I wouldn't go back and watch this. It wouldn't be one of those movies that I would tell people to go watch either. It's one of those movies that you're kind of like, it's forgettable.
Yeah, it sucks because we had a promise of something interesting, I think, at the beginning of this movie. The whole open cold kill was really cool, was very clever, was very well done. Seeing the killer early on was very intriguing to me, and that could have been something we played with. And then in the end, they had an opportunity to maybe set up a next movie and do something interesting, but at the end, it's like, whatever, we're kind of done. We're just going to move on from this storyline. It'll probably rehash the same issues again, I can only imagine. That's the problem with these movies, too. There's so much you feel like they can do with these movies that when they put out things like this, you're kind of like just thrown off the whole thing now. It's almost like the whole franchise is now in a bad place. Sure, I mean, great ideas can surely influence a movie, but it takes a little bit more than great ideas to make an excellent movie, and that's just not what we got here, unfortunately. Julie, last one, what do you think?
I'm going to be giving Scream 6 5.8 out of 10. My score, I feel like even just talking about it and thinking about it the last, 24 hours, it's been going down.
Yeah, the more I think about it, mine does too. I agree.
Yeah, because at first I'm like, all right, maybe I'll be in like a mid-6 range. And then I just keep thinking of the things that really bother me in this movie. So I'm like, now I'm a 6.2. I'm like, I don't even know if I can give it the 6.2. So I'm a 5.8. Like Adam said, it's a complete deviation from the series. We've talked about other mysteries in the series kind of being, this was telegraphed a little too easily. This one was so apparent.
But even if it's telegraphed, there was a meaning behind it, or it was at least interesting and fun.
Yes, or you could even you were pretty sure who it was, but maybe you had a couple things in the back of your mind were like, but maybe it's not. There was no doubt of who it was and what their motivation was. The only thing that maybe surprised me was that there was 3 killers. So we're doing an opposite of Scream 3 where they have 1. Now they got to, triple that.
Well, we got a bigger, better, as you said, too.
Bigger, better, because it's a franchise. And so many logic jumps, which again, it's horror movies and that's where you expect, large gaps in logic to be. But it's just not, and they think they could just brush it under the rug with like a throwaway line here, a throwaway line there, and it's not okay, and it bothered me.
Right.
I'm anxious to see where the series goes from here because, again, with Scream 2022, we came back on a high.
Yeah.
And as you said throughout this whole series, Scream is best when we have some breathing room because this is like the original Scream 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They came out a year apart from each other.
Yeah.
So we just need more time. And again, as much as I like some of these characters, they're not going to be legacy for me.
Now, Adam hit the nail on the head when he said it. Am I going to remember these characters? Absolutely not. I don't really foresee them. If anything, I mean, Jenna Ortega, maybe if she decided to stick around, I could see her character becoming someone more, attached to the series, especially because she is so high profile.
Is that because? Yeah, exactly. That's why.
But I think she also has a likability that I don't know if any of the other ones have. Like Neve Campbell had like an instant likability about her character. Like you kind of felt bad for her suffering, and and she had a core group to support her. Jenna Ortega, she doesn't really have that core group, but again, as an actress individually, I think she's able to carry herself and the emotion needed for these kind of movies with that baggage.
But even just like, there's Sidney Prescott, there's just, again, we've had time with them, like Sidney Prescott, Gil Weathers, Dewey, like Tara Carpenter, Sam Carpenter. Do I care about
No.
When I think of Scream, I'm not going to think of them ever.
Well, they feel the same way, if that means anything. They tried to get Neve Campbell back for this movie, but it was a big, high-profile issue where she said she wasn't being paid enough compared to other co-stars, and she thought she deserved significantly more money for her appearances, and they just couldn't come to terms. So we have that little line of dialogue towards the middle of the movie from Gail, like, "Oh, Cindy sends her love. She's in hiding with Mark. Sorry about that." So I guess they felt the same way. They wanted her in the movie, and if anything points to it, I know Scream 7, they said they were in talks with her again to try and come back, and I don't know. I think the series needs to just let it go and maybe kind of rebrand itself a little bit. Scream has tried to do that. We didn't talk too much about it in this series, and I know this video is probably going on a little longer than we want, but there was a Scream TV show in between Scream 4 and Scream 5, and I actually thought that was a really good show. We didn't cover it here, but I do think it's really good. It played with the Scream formula. It kept a lot of the things we know and love about Scream, but extended it into a TV show format, and I thought that was really interesting. It wasn't connected to the universe, so it was able to do its own thing, create new characters, and maybe Scream just kind of needs to do that. Or if anything, I think it just needs a break. I think we need to say sayonara for a little while, come back when you have something to say, because, again, I won't put it to radio silence. I think they did their best. They had some ideas. I don't know how held in they are to the rules of Scream and to have certain things in this movie and go in certain directions, because I do think they are great horror filmmakers. They understand the genre of horror and comedy together. It's clear since the last movie they can do it. It's just I don't know what constraints they were under and where that vision's going. So we'll have to see. But it was fun covering the Scream series. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Scream. What's your favorite one? Give me a list. List all 6 of them. Let me know what order you think they're the best. Right now, I'd have to say it's 1, 4, 5, 2, 6, 3. 3's still my worst favorite. I'm sorry. I really don't like 3. I'm sorry. You have a lighter and you blow yourself up next to a fax machine. Jay and Silent Bob do a little bit too much for me in that movie. Sorry.
I think I might put 3 above 6. Oof. I think I might.
How about you, Adam? Are you the same too?
I think I agree with Julie.
Really? 3 above 6?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just have some animosity.
The later fax machine scene.
It's kind of funny in hindsight.
It's funny.
It is.
It's funny.
And it's memorable. That's the
I
only thing I really
buy
remember.
that over I'm a cop and faking my daughter's death was easy. I just had to change out the body with the fake one. No.
All right. I'll give you points. The Hall of Ghostface could probably fall down. I don't need the Hall of Ghostface armor there. I can't with that scene. It's so stupid. But John, how about you? Are you on the same wavelength? What are you thinking if you're ranking them?
Yeah, I agree with Julie.
Yeah, same order. Yeah,
100%.
It kind of stinks though. I mean, again, there's some really good ideas here, and I guess Scream 3 is kind of the same way. There's some great ideas, just the execution. But what I want to know is, again, let you guys know what you guys think in the comments below. But thank you all so much for joining us. Real Terror Month's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We can't wait to do this again next year. Maybe even coming in the future. We got some more horror stuff coming up. But check out some other reviews on the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe. All that jazz, all the YouTuber stuff. Make sure you do it. But thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. My name's Kevin. That's John, Adam, Julie. We are the Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll catch you next time.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.